Hello there. Welcome to whatever we're calling this show. Hello everyone, welcome back to SiDEQUEST. I believe this would be episode 10, getting into the double digits now.
Wow, I'm gonna have to make a update to the website to make room.
So yeah, no, we're back. What's been swirling around your mind?
Well, let's see. We've talked about the Yuzambong, and we've talked about the Mandalorians. We've talked about the Tong. We've talked about Coruscant. We've talked about Jedi War, the Great War. We've talked about the thing you were just mentioning before the show started, and it's in episode 6.
Darth Nihilus, the mask.
Yes, the Nihilus, Mask of Nihilus. Yes,
connects to the Force and whatnot.
Yes. So we've covered a lot
going on. Got quite some, yeah. Could say we've expanded the universe. Okay.
So what do you think? I mean, what would be next? What do you think? Where are we going? What do we need to fill in that area?
Geez, I was hoping you to decide something there. I'm the indecisive one here.
What are we talking about?
Well, we just recapped everything we've talked about, and I was asking some Raptor, what do you think? You know, what do we need to fill in? What do we seem to be missing there?
Are we just about the mask, or are we talking about like last episode?
No, just in general.
Oh, dude, I keep saying it. Like you say, there's nothing there. I am convinced. But you said there's that whole entire story about all of the esoteric details. What's it called? Written the
Supernatural Encounters.
Oh, what's the really long one that you've sent me that I haven't even read yet?
Supernatural Encounters.
I was so daunted by there was no spacing either. It was all just one scroll. I was like, oh no, I can't wait to. But it was too intimidating. So okay, wait. So let's go back. I wanted to go into Neutron, from humans moving from Neutron to then other places throughout the galaxy, like Corellia and all this kind of stuff, and all these hyperlanes. I'm fascinated by that because that's what's going on in our own scientific development. We're trying to think of how the hell do we get to wherever we're going in a spaceship.
The only way is either cryogenic freezing or generation ships.
Okay, that's a pretty big time. How far are we technologically from accomplishing that? Do you both think? You both are scientists, so then how far are we what you've heard through the grapevine to making carbonite freezing so we can ship the packages?
Well, we have cryogenically frozen people. It's just we don't know how to safely unfreeze them. That's to my understanding. Everybody always made those conspiracy theories about Disney, Walt Disney freezing himself, but he died a month before he ever officially recorded cryogenic freezing. Dun dun dun. But so yeah, I guess in Star Wars sense it'd be we can't put Han Solo in carbonite, but we don't know how to get him out at the moment.
Well, now with the possibility of fusion, we can make the
yes. I still boggles my mind. Nobody's talking about this. This is the biggest thing, scientific advancement in 50 years. Nobody's talking about this. This opens so many doors in terms of energy generation and what we can do with material science and whatever. Are we approaching the creation of a hyperdrive? I don't think so, but it'd be nice.
Well, that's just it. There's a I can't think of the physicist's name. There was a physicist in the 50s who proposed that we could make, and now they're starting to look at it, basically a hyperdrive slingshot. Basically,
Alcubierre?
what they were doing
Alcubierre.
what they're doing in Star Wars now, in theory, before they have hyperdrive.
Okay, well then that's in Lightyear, because that movie that came out that was about Buzz Lightyear, so the story about the hero who acquired the toy, like that's the beginning of the movie, like that's his mission, and that's how
testing out an FDL drive.
What?
Testing out a faster than light engine.
Oh yeah, I mean acronyms that went over my head.
Sorry, I'm so used to being in communities with all these acronyms. I talk about ISDs, all that.
That sounds like some kind of like good drink or something. An ISD,
an Indian star drink. I don't know.
That's not bad. Independent Systems.
No, ISD. I meant as an Imperial Star Destroyer. That's the acronym. Acronym I was going for. But
that would have been doing that for 20 years. Let's move along so that this doesn't become...
Move along.
The geeking session is now completed. Wow, I stumbled over those words.
Have the gavel. What did they do? Oh, aren't they going through 15 rounds of voting or something like that to determine the Speaker of the House right now? I remember looking at the news. It was it's on round 2, and McCarthy is sweating bullets, and then
all I know about politics is, I'm not brave enough for politics, to quote one Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, I love that about the Jedi, especially All right, come on, let's okay, back to the
lore. I can tell you're itching at the
right now.
So you were talking about...
So what were you asking in the beginning?
He was talking about expansion from Coruscant. That's the... So that's... Yeah, unfortunately, there's not much there, but what there is I find fascinating. Because, it's basically an entirely different setting at that point in time. Because, as opposed to, quote-unquote, modern Star Wars, where faster than light travel is as commonplace as overseas travel is here in the real world. It's it happens literally every day. But at that point in time, it was about as monumental as leaving the planet is to us now. So the Gel, they held control over Coruscant and Centax and the rest of that entire system, but leaving, I believe, I don't remember if it was them or Corellia or who pioneered, they had what they called hyperspace cannons. Those were the first thing they had after the Gree hypergates and whatever, but literally just built in ginormous guns to fire their ships out of to reach other star systems, and from there they'd build new ones to go back, and it's I find that absolutely fascinating. It's just an entirely different setting at that point. It's
no regard for the astronauts at that point.
No, indeed. But no, as to how they connected with the other planets and whatnot, it's very vague as to supernatural encounters, as we talked about in our previous episodes. Implies that separate populations of humans were already placed on different planets, seeded in certain.
So like Halo, because that's how we're all seeded, all the different planets by the Ark, right?
Yeah, like the Forerunner Dreadnought, the key ships took to different... Yes, it just like that. So there may have been like 3 or 4... I forget how many, I need to reread encounters again. Coruscant, Corellia, I believe the Tyon cluster, so that's where, Zim the Despot and that whole shebang, and Alsakan maybe? But yeah, like, that must have been a mind screw, like, oh, you guys are human! What's going on here? Hey, you're human too, what's good? But no, of course, they did, eventually encounter other aliens and whatnot with, Duro. I always find that, we talked about this last episode, I believe, but people kind of sleep on the fact that, like, yeah, it was basically humans and Duros were the founding states of the Republic.
But why is Duro more prevalent in, like, I don't know, just all of the content? Like, you don't see them in the movies, like, they're not everywhere.
Yeah,
like
that's precisely what I meant. Like, they're supposed to be prevalent enough to, we're just rehashing last episode, but have offshoots the same way humans do, but with the Neimoidians, and even the Harch, Admiral Trench's people, the giant spider people, believe it or not, are offshoots of the. Now, does that make any evolutionary sense? No. But however,
evil scientists, yeah,
evil scientists, or a theory of mine I've been thinking about developing. I actually came across this on Reddit/r/ma installation. The theory implies that the Force may act as a mutagen, so accelerating the rate of mutation in the galaxy far, far away, because obviously the real life answer is because writers aren't necessarily versed in scientific literature and whatnot, but because in general, for a large mammalian species with a long gestation period and sexual maturity age, it takes about 2 million years for a new species to arise. However, within the 25,000 years of human expansion in Star Wars, there have already been several quote-unquote new species that have arisen. Like the Chiss came from a... we were talking about human colony ships and whatever that ended up lost. They ended up on Xilla and got blue skin and red eyes. Now, of course, the question... This goes back to what do you define as a species? Generally, what we define in real life as a species is a population of individuals capable of creating fertile offspring. So, any human on Earth can, like, no matter the ethnic group, a male and a female can make a child. However, take a lion and a tiger. They can still create offspring, but they will be sterile. Same with a horse and a mule or whatever. So the question is, like, people define all these different alien races. However, at times there are fertile offspring. Humans and Zabrak create fertile offspring. So by our species definition, Zabrak should just be a subspecies of human. Homo sapiens iridoniensis, I suppose. That's what you would... That would be my terminology for them. Yes, scientific rambles with Sombraptor.
Well, I think that it's a good and necessary discussion, because I think if there's going to be believability in any of this, it's got to be somewhat scientifically capable.
Correct. Oh, sorry. I entirely missed one point, but sorry. What I was trying to say before was basically the mutation rate in the galaxy far, far away appears to be much higher than that on Earth. So for Duros to sprout 2 more sets, they'd be 8-limbed, so 4 more sets of arms and like gain mandibles and whatever to basically look like arthropods. That within about the same amount of time as within just the amount of time is so short and insane that it's just not possible. So does the Force accelerate mutations, or could it have been, tampering by the Celestials or the Rakata, or because in SWTOR, remember, there is the Mother Machine, which claims that it created several species like the Twi'lek. I think most of the player characters get identified as her quote-unquote children. So most of the species there, I don't know if it claims to have created humans. If so, who knows what the deal is there. I mean, the escapees from THX we talked about not too long ago where somehow their genome got modified by the Mother Machine, ended up a little... So they're still recognizable to us as other humans, but...
Well, what is it? What is the Mother Machine? Is it... I don't know the reference.
You don't recall? It was... I believe it was a quest line on Belsavis, perhaps?
I dumped you even.
Yes, it was.
It's...
Asha, or the Mother Machine, was a device constructed by the ancient Rakata during the closing years of their infinite empire. Its development came to the Force-sensitive Rakata when they began losing their connection to the Force. Those few of their kind that survived retreated to their prison world of Belsavis and began experiments in restoring their Force sensitivity. The AI claimed to be responsible for creating races such as the Twi'lek, Zabrak, and Eshka.
Yeah, that's the cattle people.
Yes.
It's all part of that quest.
La Vaca.
So, okay, rewind that really quick, because I think that was interesting. We don't really talk about the Rakata, but we've talked about the beginning races and stuff, and we've talked about the Rakata and how they enslaved the galaxy, and then how many years was it later? 200 years or 300 years into their reign, they were destroyed, or at least they lost control, and then the Republic was formed.
But they ruled from about 35 to 25,000.
Then, I thought there was a 200-year gap between them, or a 300-year gap or something like that between their reign and then when they lost control, and when the Republic was formed.
Yes. Sorry, you're correct in that there was about a 200-year gap between the fall of the Infinite Empire and the formation of the Republic.
Alright, so let's rewind really quick. So these guys lose their ability to the Force, much like we know the Yuzan Vong did in their galaxy. They lost their ability to Force, and we can probably tie it into, when did they lose their ability to the Force? When they conquered the galaxy, did they have the Force? That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
That's the question. When they conquered the galaxy, did they have the Force? If not, then that means that their unholy, unrighteous conquering of the galaxy would have caused the galaxy to strip them of the Force, therefore leading to the premise of the situation which you described of them going to Belsavis to regain the Force through what? Now, how does the mothership tie into that?
Well, they were trying to mess with their genome, figure out why they had lost their... It's I would imagine midichlorian stuff. I'm sorry, every time I think of midichlorians, I think of the
Hold on, they're living beings. They're not...
No. You do know the Aural Knots parodies, right? It's Master Qui-Gon, what are midichlorians? It's heroin. I crack up every time, but sorry. Go on. We haven't got much time, but please go on.
Well, let's move on then. That's my big question. It's so when did they lose the Force? Obviously, because of their, I think, whatever you want to call it, their conquering of the galaxy, and because it was based on slaughter as opposed to something peaceful. So that's why you stripped the Force. Now, that would be something for you to meditate on and then review with us at a later date.
Certainly.
But that's all I have.
Certainly. Well, this has been an interesting conversation, I'd say.
Very much so.
But alas, we are short on time, so thank you, dear viewer, for joining us, and may the Force be with you.